When you're stuck and stagnant, it's usually the result of two key things that are missing. And I know this because over the years, I've gone from negative 15,000 in net worth to over $40 million in net worth. And I've been stuck dozens and dozens of times. So in this video, in this podcast, I'm going to be walking you through my process, the two key mindset hacks or shifts that I make to go from stuck, stagnant, frustrated to unlocked momentum and happy again. In this episode of the Entrepreneur Freedom Formula, this is going to be one where I'm actually coming out of a period where I was stuck for a little while. And one of the things that we always have to be looking out for as entrepreneurs, as fathers, as mothers, as husbands, as wives, as employees at companies, is we have to be keeping an eye out for, are we moving forward towards the life that we want to live and the goals that we have, or are we stuck? And there's certain things that I kind of use to gauge whether I'm stuck, to know and have that indicator be out there for me to say, yeah, you're stuck, Trevor. You got to do something about it. One thing that I think about, if you think about a stockbroker or stock trader, you've probably seen the stock charts where they show all these little lines and all these colors. And then at one point in the chart, they say when the stock hits this point and does this thing, do this action. When the stock hits this price, sell. Or when the stock hits this price, buy. That's what I call an indicator. The problem is with us in life, oftentimes we don't have momentum indicators. We don't have indicators that tell us when we're stuck. We just commiserate. We go into a slight depression. Our energy gets drained. And then when we're finally fed up with being stuck and frustrated long enough, then we're triggered to get out of that mode and get back in. So the question is, how do we get unstuck without having to go all the way to the bottom of that frustration? And we do it once we recognize it really quickly. Okay. So the first thing we're going to talk about in this episode is like, how do you know if you're stuck, right? How do we know if we're stuck or if we're just kind of having a bad week? So the first thing that pops up for me is you start to feel like your weeks are just kind of blending together. Not just your days, like anybody can have a hard week or a hard few days, but I'm talking that your weeks are blending together. Okay, it's one week after another week after another week after another week, and you have these goals and you have these projects and you have these things, and it just starts to feel like you're in default mode. It starts to feel like you're doing more and more and more of the same. All right, the next thing is we start to then get lack of motivation or excitement. We stop being excited about the work that we're doing. We stop being excited about the normal day-to-day, and we oftentimes try to escape the normal day-to-day through vices, and I'll show you what that is, okay? We're frustrated and stagnant. We have lots of options that we can choose. We have no lack of options. We're researching this. We bought this course. We asked for advice here, and we have 5, 6, 7 things we can do. We keep on searching for more options, more things that we can do, thinking the next idea is going to just be this magical thing that makes me go, oh my gosh, yes, that's the one I should do. But it's not options that's the issue, it's decisions, and we'll talk about what that is. But we're looking for these options, and we never decide. Energy drains, distracted, like I said, with busy work, and we don't feel accomplished, and we're missing goals, missing deadlines, and you disappoint yourself and you disappoint others. So if you are feeling like this right now, or you have felt like this way, I guarantee you will in the future. I'm going to walk you through the two things that I do to get unstuck then, okay? So once again, let's talk about why we become stuck. Now, that's what it feels like to be stuck, but why do we even get to this point in the first place so we can avoid getting to that spot? Because we can't get unstuck until we discover why we got there in the first place. And when we look at that analogy of the stock trader and they have that indicator and they know that indicator is there for a reason, and when I hit that thing I make this move, they put the indicator there because they have experience and they've said with intentionality, I know how to play this, I know how to succeed, and I'm going to make sure I'm stacking the deck in my favor. Okay, so we want to do the same thing with momentum and removing that stagnation and getting unstuck quickly. So the first thing is we get stuck because we're not clear on our goals. We maybe had a vision a year ago or 3 years ago for where we wanted to go. You executed the vision. You hit a lot of the results, and maybe you're in a spot now where a year ago or 5 years ago or 10 years ago, you would have dreamed to be in that spot now. But now it's normal. Now it's not new. Now you're already living it. And so you kind of want something new, but you know that what you don't want is what you currently have. You know that the life that you currently have needs to change because it's not firing you up anymore. It's not giving you the juice, but you're not clear what it is that you want. Okay, we're lack of clear vision. The next thing is I mentioned the word default. I'm going to mention a bunch of D words in this episode a lot. You're stuck in default mode. Okay, what does default feel like? It feels like I keep doing the same things. My routine doesn't really drastically change. I don't make any big changes in my calendar. I don't make any big changes in my commitments. I don't make any big changes in challenging myself. I don't make any big changes in my business. I don't make any big changes anywhere because I'm kind of afraid that if I make a certain change, it might be the wrong one. So we're stuck in default. Maybe if I just keep doing what I'm doing, things will magically cure themselves. If you're resonating with any of this, pop in the comments box. And I'm speaking this from experience and being stuck many times and finding a way to get unstuck and grow a net worth that was bigger than I ever thought that I could grow through my software company and real estate. Like I say, you get stuck in indecision. The vision drives every decision. So if we're not clear on where we want to go and what we truly want, it's really hard to make decisions then. Okay, the next thing that helps us become stuck is we already have our basic needs taken care of. This is one that doesn't get talked about a whole lot. There's the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The team, let's pop up a picture of it right here. Throwing that challenge at the team. But Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And in the hierarchy of needs, it goes from the very basics at the bottom, food, water, shelter, and then safety and security, and then it's belonging, I think, and then it's the next couple things, the self-actualization. The crazy dynamic that happens, y'all, is when we get our basic needs taken care of, and we move into doing the things that don't really need to survive, it requires a different level of motivation to push through that. When you don't have a house or when you don't have food, all you can think about is solving that problem. Or when you don't have security or safety in your home or your relationship, the only thing you can focus on is solving that problem. If you're down to your last $100 in the bank account versus having $1 million in the bank account, you are more focused to solve that problem. You make decisions more quickly, okay? So you already have your basic needs taken care of, and we get stuck because we don't need to change anything drastically to have a decently good life. And the last reason for me why I become stuck is because the same influences around me, I didn't change them. The same influences, the same content influences, the same people around me, they're the same. In order to get unstuck, oftentimes we need to elevate and change the influences that are coming into our minds, okay? So now let's kind of talk about what do you actually do to get unstuck. Those two things I talked about before, they're both D words to get unstuck, okay? We're going to move from default. That's the bad D word. That's the 4-letter word on the D words. And then we're going to move to the next two, which is decide, or it's design and decide. Okay. So when we're going to become unstuck, the number one thing on your mind is I need to get out of default mode. Okay, whatever default looks like for you. It could be a major change in your calendar. It could be saying yes to one of those options you've been looking at and just saying not now to all the other ones, and just a definitive yes, okay? But you need to get out of default mode. And the way that we do that is we got to create urgency. And the thing that creates urgency for me, and I'm going to hop into my iPad here. Okay, I'm going to hop into my iPad and kind of talk about how to create urgency here and why it's so critical that if you've been stuck for a couple months maybe or a year or longer, why you've got to get unstuck right now, and hopefully this helps you. So when we're in this mode right here and we're stuck, everything is going good for a little while, and then we hit this spot, we hit this next line. In business, things break and get hard at 3s and 10s in revenue. And you've heard me talk about that here on the Entrepreneur Freedom Formula before. But once we get up to that spot and things become hard and we have our basic needs taken care of and we don't have a clear vision that we're compelled to drive towards, we oftentimes won't push through that pain because it requires change, it requires decision. And so then we bounce up against it and then we go down here. And only eventually, oftentimes when we hit that rock bottom, that spot where we're finally fed up and or we have urgency where our bank account's almost at a zero or we're going to lose our business or whatever it is, then we have the motivation, bam, we get focused and we move again, okay? So what we need to do here is start to think about progress a little bit differently. And when I look at progress, you are right now where you are. Okay, here's the exact circumstance where you are. But there's a future state of you, and there's 4 possible outcomes that you can have, I feel. And I'm going to work from the bottom to the top, the worst to the best. One possible outcome is failure, is we can move towards that direction of just true failure, where we didn't make the decisions, we let things slide, we drifted off in indecision, and we failed. And we're now at rock bottom. We've got to pick ourselves back up. We don't want to go there. We want to avoid failure at all costs, right? Not failure, micro failures. I'm talking crash and burn failure. Okay. The next level up there is frustration, which is where most people sit when you're in the stagnation or stuck period. You're frustrated. You're frustrated because you kind of you might even have clarity where you want to go. You might even have some clarity on your vision, and you have all these options, but you're frustrated why you can't do the things that you know that you need to do. You know that if you woke up at this time and did these things, you'd be more successful and happy. You know that if you put on the shoes and did the jogging every single day or 3 times a week, you would get in better shape, but you're not doing it for some reason. You're not sure why you're not doing it. So you're frustrated. Okay. And we get to that spot oftentimes, and that is because we stay in default mode. And then the next level up is success, where, yeah, we made some decisions, we have success, and by all accounts, I'm in a good spot. But if we stick in that mode for too long and don't move up to the top level, which is transformation or transforming yourself, your identity, transforming your business, that next version of itself, so it can chase after that exciting, compelling vision, then success then breeds being in default mode. Default breeds frustration. Frustration leads us to drifting, and drifting leads us to failure. Okay? So if you are in that stuck mode and you're stagnant, I just want you to know that you're there because you're in default mode, likely. And whenever we're in default mode for too long, 100% of the time, in my opinion, it leads to frustration, prolonged frustration, which leads to drifting. And drifting is defined in my eyes as stretching and reaching into your vices. What are those things that you just reach into to give yourself a quick fix, to make yourself kind of feel good in that moment because you're not getting the juice and the energy over here and you want to feel good? It could be that cell phone and scrolling through Instagram, right? It could be buying things off of Instagram and indulging in a shopping addiction. It could be alcohol. It could be drugs. It could be overeating. It could be pornography. It could be all kinds of different things that are those vices, right? But we want to avoid that. So we want to get out of default mode, and the way that we do it is we step into design. So we'll pull out of the iPad and we'll talk about design here for a second. So the next thing that we need to do after we recognize and create urgency to get out of default mode, because once again, if you're in default, you will lead to frustration, drift, vices, and failure. I want to help you avoid that at all costs. Let's stop the madness to think that we have to hit rock bottom to climb back up. Okay, so we get to design now. And one of the ways I like to think about design when it comes to getting unstuck is a lot of us will do a challenge like 75 hard. 75 hard is an amazing challenge. I've done that 3 different times, and it helped me get unstuck in different periods of my life, which is great. But the problem with challenges is they're like a temporary mechanism to kickstart momentum. We're going to talk about how to kickstart momentum through hard things in a future episode of the Entrepreneur Freedom Formula. So keep an eye out for that one. Okay, hit subscribe and check out that one here in a bit. But the problem with relying on those challenges is, like I said, the challenges are usually time-bound, and they're usually some sort of artificial wrapper around them that really only works when you have that wrapper around that isn't realistic to have in place for the long term. And so the thing that's helped me the most is I pull back and say, okay, what is it that I truly want? Not what I need. So I need to move from need-based motivation to want-based motivation, as long as your basic needs are truly taken care of. If they are, I need to go, okay, let me give myself permission to just actually design what I actually want. What do I want in my life? What do I want that business to look like? What do I want that work day to look like? How is it different than my current work day? How is it different than my current business? What do I want my average day to look like from the second I wake up to the second I go to bed? Design it and give yourself permission to write down what you truly want more than anything. Remove all bounds. Remove how. How is the biggest killer of dreams? Remove how completely from that design. It could be bullet points. It could be story format. You could talk it in your phone. You could do it as a vision board. I don't care what it is. Whatever works for you, but design what you truly want. Okay, once we've recognized that we're in default mode, and if we stay in that, we're going to whittle our way down to frustration, drifting and failure, and we get urgent to solve this. Now we say, cool, what is it that I want? Because we need to move towards something good. Now, the third D here, the second mindset shift to make to get unstuck is decide. This is where a lot of us entrepreneurs get stuck. A lot of us will actually have a design, right? There's been periods in my life where I've had a clear vision. I've had clarity in what I wanted to do, but I hit a spot for a period of months where I'm like, why is it that even though I know what I want to do, I'm not doing the things that'll get me there? There's all kinds of things that I know I should be doing. A lot of us fall back into, maybe I need more information. Maybe I need to get another course. Maybe I need to ask another question. Maybe it's a different thing. Maybe it's this. Maybe it's that. We go like, here's where we want to go. I'm pretty clear now. I want that. Okay, I want that. But between where I am right now and where I want to go, there's something stuck. And what that is the word decide. It's decision. We need to make a decision to get out of default mode and to say yes to something, commit to something that gives you a chance to get where you want to go, and say not now to a bunch of other things that are distracting you. You probably don't need more information, okay? I was on a call with one of our Epic members at Carrot, our software company, where we help thousands of real estate investors, agents, and home service businesses attract more of the right leads through the internet. Carrot.com, guys, go check it out. That's my primary company where I've learned a lot of these things over the years. At that company, we have our high-level coaching program called Epic. And in Epic, we work with people that are between $3 million and about $12 million a year in revenue. And one thing that I found that's common about all of them, no matter the stage, is everybody gets stuck. And so I was talking with one of our members who's kind of been stuck about $300,000 a year in revenue or so. And one thing with this member, and it's not unique to this member, okay, is they always, every single time I talk with them, they always have a new idea. Okay, what if it's this marketing method? What if I need to make this change? What about this, Trevor? What do you think about this marketing channel? What about this, Trevor? Okay, and the thing is, all of them would work. All of them would work to get them where they probably want to go. The challenge is they're not making a decision and just sticking with one and going and pushing it through. They always think, I have to go find a new bit of information because maybe this new bit of information will give me a little bit more confidence that it's going to be successful. I'm not going to fail here. Okay, you likely already have every bit of information you need. You just need to decide on the one for this season that you're going to commit to. Okay, so I like to write down the list of the options. What are the options that I've looked at? Maybe there's option A, option B, option C, option D, option F. And the thing that I like to do when I look at options, I use something I call the GROW model. GROW model, I write down, what is my goal? Well, that's my vision that I've designed, right? And whatever I'm wanting to go. Amazing. Where am I? The R is reality. What am I currently at? Where am I at right now? Well, if it's a revenue thing, write down your revenue number. If it's a work hours issue, write down how many hours you're working. If it's an energy level, write down that. What is the current goal that you have around that, and what is the current reality? So we need to acknowledge where we are. But the next, what I want people to do is list your options. The O is options. What are the options I have to go from my current reality in this area to that goal in this area? And then I'll use something I call ICE, okay? This really helps when we're in decision. This helps to get to decision more quickly, I feel. So I'm going to look at those 4 or 5 options, and I say, okay, for option A, in order to get me to this goal from where I am today, the I in ICE is impact. What is the impact that this thing may have if I do it really, really well, right? And if it's a number-related thing, you go, well, if I do this really, really well, I'm pretty darn sure, man, it could add $30,000 a month to my income. Great, right? $30,000. Or impact, I could drop 20 pounds, I think, if I do option A, which is 75 hard, or whatever it is, if it's a fitness thing. Okay. The C now is confidence. What's my confidence level that thing is actually going to be true, that impact can be had? And with confidence, I use 50%, 80%, or 100%. Okay, I always use those 50, 80, or 100. 100% means there's no doubt at all that impact will be had. No doubt. Like, it's going to happen for sure. 50% is it's a coin flip. Man, yeah, I'm pretty sure we could hit it, but there's enough questions, and I might need a little bit more information to have the confidence to get it over a 50%. 80% is where I usually like to sit, or 100%. I never make any bets at 50% usually, unless it's a side bet that I'm making, okay, and not my main bet. But 80% means, you know what, this is big enough and it's ambitious enough that it's not 100% sure I'm going to hit it, but I'm pretty darn sure with this plan I'm going to hit it, okay? Then E is effort, or expense. What do I have to put out there in order to get that impact? Is it a money investment? Is it a time investment? And I'm going to look at each one of those. What's my impact? What's my confidence level? What's my effort? And I'm going to look at those 4 options. I'm going to go, which one of these, or which mix of these are the ones I feel like, based on those factors, give me the best chance to go make that happen. So I'm going to circle the 1 or 2 that are going to do it, and I'm going to decide that those are the things I'm going to do. Everything else is a distraction. I'm going to put them off to the side. Okay, guys, getting unstuck is on the other side of design and decide. When you're stuck, when you're stagnant, it's because we need to design that vision, design what we truly want in life, give ourselves the permission to dream, get specific, and then we need to decide and get out of indecision that keeps us stuck and just say yes to this thing and move forward with it for now. Decide. If you're stuck in indecision, guys, if you're stuck in stagnant, it's likely because you're not deciding. And I'm going to give you permission to decide. So quick recap here. These are some steps that you can take this week to start to get unstuck. Okay, number 1, acknowledge that you're stuck if you are. Acknowledge it, because we can't get unstuck if we can't acknowledge that we actually are stuck. We got to acknowledge that. That's your indicator. Bam, too many weeks in a row, they're blurring together. I'm low energy. I'm getting distracted. I'm frustrated. I don't feel like I'm making progress. Bam, I'm stuck. Okay, raise my hand. Number 2, get urgent to change. Okay, that's where you go through and recognize that if I'm stuck because I'm in default mode, if I stay in default mode too long, that's going to move to frustration. Frustration leads to drifting. Drifting is done through our vices, which are damaging, and then that happens, and then that slides into failure. Okay, so recognize that if you continue on this path without changing, you will hit a version of rock bottom. You've got to then build your way back up in a much harder way. Number 3, write down what you want to change. What is that thing? Design what you truly want more than anything else, and then write down the options and make a decision. What are the things you're going to do this week, this month to change? You've got to change something. You've got to get out of default. Is it changing your calendar drastically? Is it saying yes to this project? Is it saying no to this thing? Is it adding new people to your world, a new big person on your team, a new mentor, whatever it is? Something big's got to change to get you unstuck. All right, guys. If this resonated with you, I want you to hang on and subscribe to this channel, because I've got another follow-up episode on how to use, like I said, doing hard things to really accelerate getting unstuck and grow that momentum. So check it out, hit subscribe, share it up with a friend of yours who could resonate with it as well. But if you're an entrepreneur who's looking to build businesses that fuel you and you don't fuel them, that truly make an impact, and that you can run and they don't run you, I want you to subscribe to this, share it up with at least one other entrepreneur who you feel may be stuck. And this one video or podcast could change their life. It could change their trajectory. So give them that gift of getting unstuck. Hopefully, this will just create the string of shares where people can just get unstuck and make this the biggest year that you've ever had. And then the next thing, y'all, is I have my entire Entrepreneur Freedom Formula for free. You can go grab it. Just go to trevormauch.com/freedom. That's trevormauch.com/freedom. It's linked up below here on the YouTube channel or in the show notes of the podcast. And if you are someone who is a high performer, you already have a business, you're doing a couple $100,000 a year, a few $100,000 a year, and you want to get unstuck, you want to unlock, you want to grow momentum, you want to have the right tools, the right mentorship, the right models to be able to grow with. I'm taking on a few more clients through our Epic program. So just go to carrot.com/epic. That's carrot.com/epic. There should be something on that page there where you can apply, hop on a phone call with one of my team members. And this program, I work with people directly. I work with people one-on-one and in group format. It's something that's been such a gift for me because it helps me be a better leader for my companies that I own. And it also helps me make the impact I want to make. And This is where I get to use my models and prove those models and hone those models even more, that you guys get to hear about many of them here in the Entrepreneur Freedom Formula podcast. So guys, go check it out. If you qualify, you make at least $300,000 a year. You want to move to the next level, get unstuck, grow momentum, build the business of your dreams. Carrot.com/epic, apply, hop on a call, and we'll see you there. All right, guys, are you stuck? If so, use this opportunity to get yourself unstuck. We'll see you on the next episode.